for the rest, what I'm going to do is, I will not go into details of what you have on the PPT. We'll go and check what is really important, right? As you know, in this class, food and culture, we see different things, but I focus a lot on acculturation and health. We look at some diseases, right? So last week, as we look at the Chinese food and culture, I focus on cardiovascular disease, you know, a group of problems that we have and the risk factors, okay, that I hope you know. We will not look at Japanese food and culture. You have that on the PPT. So today, we will not look at it. We just look at a little bit of the Korean food and culture, just like keywords. And also, I will also go a little bit faster on that one because we saw it already on food and religion. All right? Remember that religion and culture sometimes is very, very close. And today, the disease that I will look at is diabetes. So remember, we look at the food and culture, and then we look at the problem with immigrants. And this time, okay, we look at Korean immigrants, for example, in USA, right? And we look at some of the problems that foreigners encounter. Like I said, when people change the environment, many things change, including what? Food habits, right? Food habits. So today I will put some keywords, some key definitions that we have to know. You look very happy. I'm happy too. All right. So the Japanese section, we crossed the Japanese section. Okay. My PPT. All right. So. And remember what I told you before, when you talk about Confucius, that really influenced a lot of the Asian culture and how the family setting is actually perceived. In Korea today, as of today, Korea, we have around most people are Buddhist, or they follow the Confucius philosophy. Around 28% are Christians, even though the Christian movement is kind of growing a little bit. But we also look at, the young people like you, and most young people don't actually have a religion at this time. All right. So other belief system like shamanism is there. The Judokyo is also here. I will not be talking about North Korea. The only note that I put on North Korea is that all religious beliefs are suppressed, right? The only thing that basically is allowed is the Marxism or self-reliance, really believing in yourself. But we will not go there. All right. So I was telling you that Confucius basically influenced the family structure, in Asia. And until now, we see the effect, how children must behave, how the parents deal with their children, how we should raise children, and things like that. Okay? These elements are important because as we talk about acculturation, we want to keep some values. Okay? But the question is, are we able to transfer these values to the children when we change the country? So we mentioned that already, that males are the head of the household. We're not going to come back to it. These are just basic elements that we have. In terms of the health, we know it, the Korean traditional health system, how do we call it? Hanyak. All right? Hanyak. For the foreign students, it's probably a new word for you guys, okay? Hanyak is the traditional health belief system in Korea, and the healer is called Hanwi. Is it the right pronunciation? Hanwi? Hanwi? That's the right pronunciation? This word, is it new to you? How do we call the traditional healer in Korea? Hanesa. Hanesa isn't that Korean traditional doctor? But how about the other practice, traditional healers? Other belief system like not the recognized one. Hanui. Hanui. Never heard of this word? Honey. All right, I'm trying. I actually put it in English, right? But how do you pronounce it? He, and he. All right. Anyways, try, right? Okay, so we talk about it, we observe the whole body, right? We observe the whole body and we look at the pulse pulsations, we take the pulse and everything. We have basically the historical background. In terms of the food, all of you guys know basically, okay, I think this one jumped a little bit, that we mentioned it last week, that even though we talk about the Korean culture, it's a culture that is being also influenced by the presence of the Chinese and the presence of the Japanese, all right? So the food is mostly hearty and highly seasoned, is often the challenge, when we come to Korea, we eat like very spicy food. First cultural shock for some foreigners who don't eat spicy food. Remember, when we get the introduction to acculturation, we say that food habit is probably the last thing that people want to change when they go to another country. So even if you move to the US today, okay, you may change a little bit, but at one point of time you're going to be missing the seasoned food. You're going to be missing kimchi, all right? So we'll look at it a little bit. For example, the Koreans in the US, we compare with the Koreans here in Korea. We look at, the level of obesity. We look at the disease that they have, and we also check their food habits. Okay, and then we can look at the parents, right? For example, the parents who move to the US, and then we compare what they eat, right, compared to what their children are eating. And we will realize that, hey, the children will be eating more of the American style food. They are more and more our culture, right? So we say that when we talk about the age, which is like another acculturation measure that we use, when people move younger, it will be easier for them to actually change. So rice is the foundation. I will not be talking about this. Is almost the foundation food all over Asia. Okay, it's the same here in Korea. Only difference may be with the Chinese rice. I think in Korea, the rice is a little bit sticky, right? People mostly like the sticky rice, and also the chopsticks are a little bit different, or the way we eat the rice is also a little bit different. But these are not major. These are not major differences. All right. So when we study food and culture, we mention the and the yang, which is like the balance. So I will not come back to it. Is what we talk for the Chinese culture. We talk about the yin and the yang. So the philosophy is the same. Not much difference about this, right? Philosophy is the same. So good appetite is a sign of good health. We mentioned it, so I will be jumping over that part. But what I would like to be talking about today is what we call the healthy migrant effect. Okay? So what does it mean here? Usually, this is a very important term to know. So what is happening here is when people are immigrating, when they're going to a new country, usually they are healthy, right? And what we learn is they're actually healthier than people living in the host country. Okay? You don't have this slide. If you want, you can take a picture of it. Okay? The healthy migrant effect. So we have people here. When they newly arrive, they tend to be healthier than the host population. This is what it means. Okay? Again, I repeat, if I ask you, what does it mean? A healthy migrant effect is when newly arrived migrants tend to be healthier than the host population. Okay? Very simple. Very simple. We say, okay, people move to Korea. When they come to Korea, they look healthier, or they appear to be healthier than people living in Korea. But after a time, as their culture, their health seems to go down. Okay? Their health seems to go down. Any questions? You guys confused? Healthy migrant effect. Understand what it means? Yeah. 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 So remember what we said. Remember what we said before. For example, we talk about what? We talk about this word. For example, dietary acculturation. Okay? Acculturation is what? Is adaptation. So you are adapting to your new environment. You are basically changing. And when we talk about dietary acculturation here, what does it mean? Yes. So basically, you are adapting what? Your food habit. Okay? So you are changing your food habits. Did you guys start changing your food habits? Are you eating Korean food now?
Yeah.
All right. So they're going through the dietary acculturation. They're learning to eat Korean food. Okay? But we cannot measure their case right now. It's got to be over a long period of time. Hopefully over 5 years, to really see the effect. So, for example, when we look at the case of diabetes today, so the medical doctor, for example, before you came, right? They check your health status, and when they check your health, they just realize, okay, you have no diabetes, you have no high blood pressure, you have no cardiovascular disease. But after staying in Korea for a while, oh, suddenly your health is deteriorating, right? Your health is kind of going down. Okay? And then we want to know why. What are the factors? What is happening here? Right. So, I put here like the immigrants, Koreans experience dietary acculturation. So we will see that the Koreans living, for example, in the US, right, they are like the average American now, right? The level of obesity is high, they have the same disease, so they are really accultured, okay? They really adapt some way, we can say, is it a good adaptation? I don't know, but they are now part of the general population. But now, Korea case, for example, is a bit different. Even though in Korea we have traditional Korean food, but Korea is also going through what we call nutrition transition. Okay? So nutrition transition. I like asking this question to some foreigners as well. Most of you guys are coming out from Europe, right? France, and did you have a chance to eat food that is very similar to the food that you used to in France, in some restaurant? Not really.
Completely not.
Completely not. Wow. Yeah. So surprising, but so you adapt to Korean food. But in this case, the nutrition transition in Korea, what is taking place here is Korea is kind of changing some element. The food is looking more and more like Western style food. Compared to over 50 years ago, where people used to eat mostly grains and vegetables, just a little bit of meat. I think that if you go to most restaurants in Korea, you always have some type of meat and cheese and things that really look like Western style type of food. It may not be exactly like the one you have, but the element will be similar. And because the elements are similar, that will kind of attract foreigners who are maybe here to try this type of food. All right? But so in general, we will define the nutrition transition is kind of a change, a shift, right, from your cultural dietary pattern. So we go away from the typical traditional Korean food, and then we adopt a diet that is more global, right? A diet that is more global, so that okay, when people come, okay, they can relate to this food. This is what you call nutrition transition. So, nutrition transition, what does it mean? Right? So, we are changing from traditional diet, right, to what? To a more global one. All right. For example, let's talk. For example, about everybody knows McDonald's, right? You know, the burgers and things like that. We can say, okay, these things start maybe in the U.S., but Korea also has its own burgers things. Loteria is actually from Korea, right? So even though it's a Korean burger, but we can say the appeal, the way it's done, look more the American, the Western diet. Okay? Even some of the other food that we eat, we say, okay, this is a Korean recipe, but we have like a lot of cheese on it that will bring some type of appeal. Now, guys, these nutrition transition, or in some cases, dietary acculturation, the problem with that is, because it's food habit, right? You just realize it increasing, right, the risk of developing what? Obesity that will be associated with type 2 diabetes. Okay? So, then we realize that, remember I asked you the question, what is the number one reason people are dying in Korea? Do you remember? Top 2 reasons. Top 2 reasons people are dying in Korea. What? Which disease kills people the most in Korea? Huh? Which disease? Nobody knows? Why people die in Korea? Cancer and what? And heart disease, right? Diseases that are related to the heart, cardiovascular disease. But these diseases are what? Most of these diseases are associated with what? With our food habits. Okay? Most of these diseases are associated with our food habits. Okay? And when we study our food habit, what do we realize is because of that diet transition, right? Also, level of obesity is rising. Everybody still remember this picture. We have probably high blood pressure, or we have, in this case today, when we look at diabetes. Okay? So now very important to understand here. For the nutrition student, what is diabetes again? What is diabetes? When do we know we have diabetes? What is diabetes? Yeah. So here we have a high level of sugar right in the blood here. Okay? So oftentimes when you go to the hospital, we say, okay, the blood sugar level is going over 126. We say, okay. Here, if you go to the hospital, they say, okay, it's over 126 milligram per deciliter. Here, we have a case of diabetes. Okay. So, what is diabetes? It's a group of metabolic disorders in which they are high blood sugar levels over a prolonged period, or if you want, over a long time. Okay? So, to better illustrate it, I will just give you an example. All right, you just eat, your blood sugar goes up, as you know. All right, so we have, let's put it this way, we have this hormone here that we call insulin. Okay, what is insulin job? What is insulin job? Yeah, so the insulin job, right? So we have the insulin here that is supposed to bring the sugar. It's supposed to bring the sugar here to the cell. If you want, muscle cells, fat cells, right? So that we don't have a lot of sugar in the blood. So it's kind of reducing blood sugar. Okay? So the insulin job will be to take this sugar and bring it here. All right? So usually we will be talking about three types of diabetes here, and all of them will always involve insulin. Okay, so we have the type 1. We have the type 1 diabetes. In type 1 diabetes, here the pancreas is not producing, if you want, is not making. The pancreas is not making the insulin. Okay? If we have no insulin, if you look at the picture on the left, right? So let's just assume that we have the bloodstream here. So we have our sugar here that we're supposed to take here to the cell. So if the pancreas cannot make insulin, what will happen? Yeah, if the pancreas cannot make insulin, the sugar level here will go high and high and high and high. This is when you have the case of diabetes here. Remember guys, insulin job is to take the sugar to the cell, basically reducing sugar level in the blood. This is insulin's job. Okay? So if you don't have it, so the sugar can move. So we're going to just have high level of sugar in the blood. Then we have the case of type 1 diabetes. Now, the type 2, the type 2, we have insulin, but either the insulin is not enough or the insulin is not properly working. Alright? The good illustration is the one we gave one time about the key. So that the insulin is like a key. And so if we put it there and it's not working for some reason, then it's kind of useless. So the problem will be the same here because the insulin is not working. This is when we will be talking about the case of insulin resistance. Now, don't be confused, I'm coming. So just keep in mind we have the insulin. The first case, we have no insulin, so we have a lot of sugar in the blood, right? That's the first case. Second case, insulin is not working properly, all right? So the problem is basically the same. When we talk about resistance, we talk about something blocking. For example, I'm here, all right? If I want to reach here, something is blocking me, right? What is blocking me? The table, right? So then we can think a little bit, what can be blocking the insulin from working properly? Exactly. All right, so now we have our insulin here, and then we have this block of fat, for example here, basically blocking the insulin to reach, to send the sugar to the right place. The result will be the same. The sugar will be accumulated in the same place as well. Okay? Now, the type 1 diabetes, basically the person is kind of condemned because you gotta just inject insulin into your body basically for the rest of your life. But now, the type 2 diabetes, we can somehow correct it. If we know that the problem is associated with, for example, fat in this case, what shall we do? Can we correct the problem? Here, there's not much you can do, right? I mean, you have no insulin, basically, you need to inject insulin into your body over time. But when we talk about cardiovascular risk factors, we talk about modifiable factors, meaning that things that we can change. There are things we can change, for example, the genetic, your race, and things like that. All right? But in this case, we see fat as being the obstruction for the insulin to work properly. So what can we do? Can we change this one? Yes, we can. So what are the options for the type 2 diabetes? Yeah, because fat is associated with obesity, of course, right? So what will be the options here? What will you recommend? For example, all of you who are in nutrition, you have these cases with patient was like a lot of fat and then we have some insulin resistance. What will you tell them to do? Oftentimes, because we now know that 90% of the people with type 2 with type 2 diabetes, right? 90% of these people are obese. So then, what will be the options? Okay, so here, I think in Food and Nutrition English 1 and 2 that I teach, we go over all these options, right? So, what will be the options here? Number one, what can we do? Yeah.
Healthy food.
Huh? Healthy food, right? We'll see that in our last chapter. So the person must change the diet. Okay? But keep in mind the phenomenon of dietary acculturation. The people move to a new country, they change their diet, but which diet are they eating now? They go through what we talk about nutrition transition when we're shifting from basically traditional healthy food and we're eating more sugary, more fatty food here. Alright? Just keep that in mind. So we talk about a diet change. What kind of diet? A lot of people will say to eat a diet mostly, with vegetables, right? Reducing the meat content and things like that. Okay? Number two, what else can we do? Exercise. Okay? Exercise. The exercise part is important because the goal at the end of the day is what? Is to reduce the fat tissue that we have, right? And allow insulin to do its job properly. Okay? Alright, so these are the best two options, but when we talk about the problem of obesity, there are also other, third and fourth options. Not necessarily the best, but available for us. What would be the third one? Third one? Yeah. Medicine, right? So, in some cases, you will be on the treatment. The medical doctor will give you some tablets, right, to regulate your blood sugar. And in some cases, these are things that people have to do because now we're having a serious problem here. And the last one that is, the scariest one is which one? Yeah, this is the case of severe obesity. We're talking about BMI, body mass index over 40, right? It's just like really like last result. Okay? All right. So remember, so now the type 1, diabetes, no insulin. Basically your option is just get insulin injection. Number 2 is a modifiable one where you need actually to lose some weight and things like that. So, so we saw type 1 and type 2 diabetes. What is the third one that we usually encounter? Third one. The third one that we encounter only with pregnant women. Anybody remembers? Did you put all the notes in the garbage? Lord Jesus. Okay, you guys are forgiven. What is the third one? Very good. I'm feeling much better now. At least somebody didn't throw my. I'm just like, I've been working hard, right? Thank you very much. All right. Gestational diabetes. So this one we encounter it with pregnant ladies, right? We encounter with pregnant ladies, like they don't have diabetes, they didn't have diabetes before pregnancy. As you know, for those who took the class Dietary Life Management, we look at it because now they gain a bit of weight, and as they gain weight, the blood sugar is going up. It goes up, and it kind of stays up. Then we're talking about the case of gestational diabetes. Okay. So guys, I really hope you remember that. All right. But the one that we focus mostly is the problem of type 2 diabetes. Now, this is the challenge. Remember, the keyword here is insulin. This is the problem. This is the problem, or the challenge. We talk about the challenge between fat and the insulin. Okay, so when we increase insulin, okay, what is happening here is that we also increase appetite. We also increase appetite, your desire to eat. Basically, if the insulin secretion is going up, what happens is your appetite is going up. And when you are hungry, what do you do when you are hungry? You eat, right? So when you eat, what happens when you eat? You gain weight. Okay? So what happens here is your weight also goes up. Okay? So, and when your weight goes up, what goes up is the fat. When I say your weight goes up, it's not the muscles. Huh? Not the muscles, right? Clara is laughing. But anyways, I'm serious about this. We're talking about the fat here. All right? Because you eat a lot. Put on some fat, right? So, and that's the fat. And because there is a fat, look at here. I said to you guys, I want to go here, right? And something is blocking me. How do we call this? The fat, right? So, because it's blocking me, what am I going to do? I will be putting more force, right? I will be putting more force. So, in that case, if I'm insulin, I'm going to call my other brothers, my other insulins, right? Try to go through. So, what does it mean? When we reach here, insulin secretion will go high again. Why? Because of the fat. The insulin wants to do its job. But that job is blocked by the insulin. Alright? So it's like a vicious circle. So basically, this fat is going to cause So the fat, because of the fat, is going to cause the weight gain, and is going to cause what? Okay, let me put it this way. Let me put it here. The fat is going to create insulin resistance. All right? Okay, guys. Very important to understand what is going on here. Okay? So, number one, we secrete insulin. Why? Why do we secrete insulin? Exactly. All right? To reduce the blood sugar. But as we secrete the insulin, we also increase appetite, our desire to eat. Remember, this is food behavior. We can be hungry. It doesn't mean that we have to really feed ourselves that much. But again, when we look at the food, the last chapter on planning a healthy diet, you can eat a lot. Eating a lot is not the problem. All right? When we say, for example, the problem of obesity, we have to check the diet. All right? Eating a lot is not the problem. What is the problem? No. Let's stay with the food. Let's stay with the food. I say here, we talk about appetite. Appetite means, okay, I want to eat, so now I'm eating. All right? And then I'm telling you, eating a lot is not a problem. So what is the problem with the food? What is the problem? Balance, yeah, to some extent, but what does it mean, balance? Eating a lot is not a problem. The problem is the type of food that you are eating. You understand? Because when we say that we change the diet, all right, we have to know which diet do we want to change. Because if you eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, you're okay, all right? But if you do like I used to do and eating a lot of Big Mac and cheesecake, I still love cheesecake. He's mocking me. But then, remember, is what we have inside the food. We talk about the calories, right? This is the challenge. The challenge is not, is eating a lot. The challenge is, what kind of food are we eating? So when we talk about the Koreans, for example, in the US, talking about dietary acculturation, we just realized that their parents are still eating Korean type of food, a lot of grains, a lot of vegetables, right? Some kimchi at times, but their children are not eating this type of food. When they go to school, they go to an American school, right? In an American school, what food are they going to eat? American food. So a lot of potato chips, a lot of burgers, pizzas, and all kind of stuff, all kind of food that will give us a lot of energy. All right. So this is the game that is taking place. So okay, you're hungry, and as you're hungry, you gain weight, insulin resistance. So it's kind of a vicious circle. Mr. So is looking at his watch. We gotta go home soon, right? So maybe I have to stop now. All right. So I hope that you really understand what is taking place here. Okay. With the problem with the diabetes. Okay. Okay. I will prepare the study guide and some extra notes. I will give you some extra notes about the subject. Okay, I will give you extra notes about the subject, but the most important thing is really understanding what is taking place and how things are working. Okay. Okay, I will be here for more questions. If no questions, we start the next chapter on Wednesday. Okay, have a nice day.